And so one thing that I'll kind of try and bring up or kind of get the point across early on is if you looked the way that you looked, but you weighed the same as you weigh right now, would you be happy with that? You know, like if you took, like say if you weigh 180 pounds, but you were happy with the way that your body looked and the way that you performed and all that, would you really care that you were the same weight as you currently are?
Right, yeah.
So, and most of the time they're like, well, yeah, I guess. And so that kind of proves the point that weight is an arbitrary number.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Healthy Living Wichita podcast with Go Time Training. I'm your host, Raymond Elliott, lead personal trainer at Go Time Training in Northeast Wichita, Kansas. I've been in the fitness industry for over 20 years now, and I've seen it all. This podcast cuts through all the fads and gimmicks to give you a science-based truth on all things fitness and nutrition, so you don't have to try to figure it out on your own. If you want to live happier and healthier and get the scoop on how to work out, eat right, and keep a positive mindset, you're in the right place. It's go time. Now, let's get to the show. Time to do my radio voice. Got that, Nick? All right. Healthy Living Wichita. This is Raymond. I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Nick. I think you guys have met him before. If you haven't, you need to be watching our podcast more often, but he was on here not too long ago. He is the beautiful beast, as I like to call him. He has a few different nicknames, but great buddy of mine. And Nick is some of these amazing thousands and millions of viewers out there. Hasn't heard of you yet or seen this podcast. Go ahead and introduce yourself quickly.
So my name
or
is...
take your time, whatever you want.
My name is Nick Jacobs. I've been here at Go Time since, I want to say November, end of October, beginning of November 2019. I moved here from Kentucky. Went to University of Louisville, did the whole college thing. Been personal training for 8 years or so now.
Damn.
But yeah, so I really enjoy being here though. It's been great so far.
So I imagine in those 8 years, you've seen this scenario when you're getting ready to go through an assessment with somebody, and you put them on a scale, and they've been working with you, and they made all this different progress, and you're like,
right,
man, this person's been kicking butt. They've improved in all these areas, and they don't see the weight loss that they want to see. They jump on that scale, and their eyes are shut, and they open, and they see, and it's not down as much as they would like to
right,
be. And they're like,
right.
I ate a kale salad. I got on some kind of crazy step meal that is like hell, except with probably less music and more fire, and they're just upsetting that aspect. But
yeah,
you've seen so much progress with them in every other
deal.
Yeah,
that happens a lot. Recently I actually covered the screen on our scanner because they didn't want to know. Like they didn't know how it was going to turn out. So I was like, well, let's just cover it. If it's good, I'll tell you. If it's not, then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, that happens a lot. You step on the scale and then like the number might not change, or maybe it just changed a little bit or even increased, but you're feeling better, looking better, weights are going up, reps are going up, you've made tons of progress, and then it's kind of confusing when not everything lines up the way that you want.
Yeah.
But that's not the only way to measure progress.
It's not the only way. So I think today what we want to talk to you guys about is we understand that a lot of people are going to have cosmetic goals. We're human ourselves, and we understand that's going to be a big impact. But I want to say that obviously that's not the only results that you can get from fitness and nutrition, especially exercise. And it's not the only way to measure progress. So we'll talk about a few of those things.
Yeah.
And Nick will chime in. We'll kind of go over those. So really, as personal trainers, and I have this discussion because I teach the Go Time Training Academy, really our job is not weight loss.
No.
Can you believe it?
I could believe it. And I didn't even think about that till you mentioned it one day. And I was like, huh.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, really, I mean, if you look at as far as personal trainers, our main job is really to teach people how to do our really main job is to protect the public from harm, if you want to go textbook, but is to teach people how to do proper exercise and then train them through a systematic progression through to get stronger and build lean body mass. Now, a beautiful byproduct of that is calorie expenditure, increased metabolism, and if you're dieting and have some support with a nutritionist or potentially some guidelines and some help and support through your personal trainer within scope of practice, you can see some amazing weight loss.
Right.
Now, as personal trainers, we know that a lot of our clients are coming to us, and that's a big part of their investment and what they really want us to help. And we know that a lot of times lowering weight can be a dramatic impact on people's health. It's really not the only thing that, exercise and all those things can do. And they've actually done studies that people that focus more on other benefits like performance, which CrossFit did an amazing job of that, or health benefits, end up having more accountability and adherence to an exercise program, because weight loss is nonlinear, as we know.
Yes.
Just talking like
not
the scale,
even close.
It goes up and down, water weight, stress, if you ate, if you need a bowel movement,
right,
a lot of different things.
Tons of variables.
Sodium. It's not always nonlinear, and there's also through plateaus. But if you're continuing to exercise, progression, far as strength and mobility and movement and core strength is pretty linear. It's going to have less variables as long as you're progressing at the right aspect. So, what are some benefits that you, just off the top of your head, because you don't have a list, you don't have a computer in front of you, but what's some benefits that you think that you've seen a lot with your clients that you want them to like realize, like, hey, here's some benefits when you go through these things,
right?
Scenarios.
So I mean, like you said, of course, weight loss is always not with every single person that we work with, but I'd say 80%, 90% of people, they are here to lose weight. And so one thing that I'll kind of try and bring up or kind of get the point across early on is, if you looked the way that you looked, but you weighed the same as you weigh right now, would you be happy with that? Like if you took, like say if you weigh 180 pounds, but you were happy with the way that your body looked and the way that you performed and all that, would you really care that you were the same weight as you currently are?
Right, yeah.
So, and most of the time they're like, well, yeah, I guess. And so that kind of proves the point that weight is an arbitrary number.
Right.
And so we try and use other variables to measure progress. Like you've said, if your strength is going up, if measurements have improved, if your clothes are fitting better, if you feel better, if your sleep is better, if your appetite is under more control, like there's tons of different things that can kind of show that you're heading in the right direction. And weight loss is a byproduct of all those other things, or everything else clicking.
And it is an indicator of progress. So it's one way.
Yeah.
And a scale, a lot of people are scared of scales, and sometimes we say, hey, don't worry about it if it has a direct impact on you. We were just talking about this earlier. There is studies that show that people that weigh weekly see better results than people that weigh monthly, and people that weigh daily normally see better results than people that weigh weekly, as an accountability factor, and they start to be okay with it because they learn that it's non-linear, and it's not just because it went up doesn't mean that their whole day is ruined. But I did shows, and you're on a diet, you're nutritional, and we've all hopped on there and been like, man, I've done really, really great. So it can affect your mood, but it's just one way to monitor progress, and it's not the whole piece.
Right. And so to kind of put that into perspective, what you're saying is like, not weighing more does not give you the results itself, but weighing more puts things into perspective as far as like, say you weigh once a month. Well, say on the one day of that month that you do weigh comes on a day where you didn't sleep well the night before, you're not as hydrated, you've had higher sodium foods, and because of that, you're going to be more bloated. You're going to hold on to more water, so your weight might be up. Well, if you're only weighing once a month, that doesn't really get put into perspective.
You don't know all the peaks and valleys that's went through there.
Right. Yeah. Like maybe 3 days before you were actually 5 pounds under the weight that you just weighed at, but you would have no idea because you didn't weigh.
Yeah.
So trying to, keep the same circumstances every time that you weigh, like say Saturday mornings, if like Saturday night you're going to go out to a restaurant, if you weigh Saturday morning before that comes up, after doing a whole week of what you're supposed to be doing, each week you'll be able to see kind of the progression that it kind of goes along with. Every once in a while you might, hormonally you can't control that, so that has a lot to do with water retention, and there's tons of other variables that can cause weight to go up or down. Yeah. So on the same side, like weighing every day isn't always the greatest, because then people get caught up with, well, my weight didn't go down from where it was yesterday morning. But then if you look at what you've eaten or look at what you've been doing the past 24 hours, there's a lot of things that could change it. Weighing is a good thing to do, but I would say there are other ways to measure progress that are going to be a lot more reliable and more consistent, especially over the long term.
Yeah, so I think you hit a lot of those nails on the head, I guess to say.
A couple nails.
Yeah, so a couple nails. Yes, exactly. So yeah, weight loss is nonlinear, and even as personal trainers, we have to realize this with our clients, that it's not always going to be nonlinear. And if all we ever care about is that people lose weight, we're really doing ourselves a disservice, because we're not highlighting all the other fantastic benefits. So there's tons of them. I will list them in the comments below. If you're following on Apple or iTunes, I won't have that ability, but check us out on Facebook or YouTube. I can add those in there. But there's increased muscle mass, which is definitely going to go help out with metabolism and can lead to weight loss. There's maintaining fat loss goals. 90% of people that lose weight regain it within the first 3 years. So one of the biggest
I've done that lots of times too.
Yeah, me too. Lots of people have and that's why sustainable diets and a whole nother podcast we'll use on that. When we get Casey in here or Jennifer, or somebody else that it's nutrition wise. But that's one of the biggest things in the world is just maintaining. So people freak out when they're not losing, but you've maintained your 20, 30, 40 pounds over 3 months. Wow.
That's an incredible accomplishment.
Increased strength. We all want that.
Yep.
And like I said, with CrossFit, that has been proven to be amazing when women, and I will say that about CrossFit. Not a huge fan, but do love that they have a great culture and they focus on performance, and that has changed the fitness evolution into exercise.
Yeah, it really kind of made weights more, I hate to say socially acceptable, but it made it like so that weights were more geared towards getting women involved with it. Yeah. And so since CrossFit, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it just in the past couple of years. There's a lot more women that are interested in weight training now.
And I think it's been amazing in their progress in their goals as far as weight loss, having the fit, tone, sexy body that they want, or just feeling better. There's, with strength training, obviously you can also help with a lot of different things like health, as far as like diabetes. It helps out with type 2 diabetes. It helps out with blood pressure. It helps out with bone mineral density. I have a client that has Parkinson's, and as Parkinson's is degenerated, it's very difficult to have improvement in that. She falls a lot. I can have proof in her bone mineral density, so when she does fall, she's less likely to have a fracture, which could be life-saving.
Absolutely.
Mental clarity, confidence, which we've seen a lot. I think we see
probably
that
the number one.
Yep. But everybody, I mean, guys too.
Yeah,
so we see that a lot with our female clients as well. As just the confidence. They show that just a better quality of life. So exercise has a lot of benefits.
Tons.
I could go on forever, but we only have a 30-minute show, and you probably got things to do. But increased balance, increased stability, less injuries, all those fun stuff. We got text messages coming through, but less joint pain. I mean, there's better work capacity. You farm, exercise more, better sports performance. I want to quit. I don't even know how many things, but there's tons of different things.
And all those are ways to measure progress, and a good way, kind of a way to relate that would be, recently had an older fellow. He's been working with me for, I want to say 8 weeks now. So we did his first assessment a few weeks ago. He hops on. We use an in-body scan, so it measures body fat percentage, muscle mass, fat-free mass, all that good stuff. And so he hops on the scale, and his weight was up by like 9 pounds. And so he gets off, and he's kind of ragging on himself, like, I know I haven't been doing well. It's been the diet. It's been this. And when we looked at the numbers, I was like, this is actually really good because your body fat percentage is down and your muscle mass is up. And then his eyes lit up and he was like, oh, really? So even though I'm up in weight, then that doesn't mean that I'm worse off. And I was like, no, you're better off now. How do you feel? How do your clothes fit? And he was like, well, I thought it seemed a little weird because I feel better and my clothes fit better. And it's like, well, exactly. I mean, that just proves our point. Weight is not the end all be all of measuring progress.
Yeah, and I mean, there's obviously muscle recomposition or body recomposition where you can actually build muscle and lose a little bit of fat, but on the scale, it's not going to say this. So there's a difference between, I always tell people, the difference between weight loss and fat loss. And when I help people come up with goals, we make sure that we put fat loss because there's a ton of difference in that. So obviously the scale is one way to track results. What are some other ways that you know with your clients and that you think is a great way or for people to understand?
Right. I mean, I think that the best way and the most applicable way is going to be progression with the weights. So like, week 1, say you're doing incline dumbbell presses and you're using 15-pound dumbbells. And then by week 8, you're using, 20s, 25s. I mean, clearly you've improved there. And that can be from a couple different things. Practicing the movement is going to make you better at the movement, but some of that is going to be because of increased strength or increased muscle mass. Another way, kind of along those same lines, would be reps. Say you've done the same weight, like a body weight exercise would be a good example. If when you started, you can only do, say, 1 push-up, and now you can do 8 push-ups. That's a huge difference. And there could be because maybe you weigh a little bit less, so you can do more, or maybe because you're a little bit stronger.
Or a combination of the two, which is always a beautiful part.
Yeah, and it usually ends up being a combination to some degree of the two. But yeah, so increased weight on the same movements for the same number of
resistance
reps.
weight. Right?
Yeah,
Yes.
increased
strength.
Let's clarify that. Yeah, increased resistance or loading of the exercise you're doing, or increased reps with the same weight or the same load that you've been doing, or even increased reps with more load. Another way would be measurements. If your goal is to increase muscle size or to decrease fat, then we would want to see measurements move in that direction,
right.
Whichever the goal may be. If you're trying to increase muscle size, and of course measurements going up, and then vice versa if you're shooting for fat loss and measurements going down. Another one would be how you just feel physically. Like you mentioned mental clarity earlier. Research has shown that exercise helps with mental clarity, with mental focus. It's mood boosting. I mean, all this stuff with like dopamine and all the hormones that play a role in your mood.
Better.
Yeah, you just literally feel better. I don't know how many times.
Intrinsic motivation comes in. You actually enjoy working out, and you actually feel better when you do work out.
Yeah,
which is huge.
I'm glad you say that, because recently there was someone that was mentioning the first few weeks that they were coming in, they weren't very excited. They didn't necessarily look forward to going to the gym, but they knew it was something they had to do.
Yeah.
And now they're at the point where they've made progress. Every time they come into the gym, they're doing something that they weren't able to do weeks ago, or they're doing more of what they were able to do a few weeks ago. And so that's kind of the motivating factor there is, if I go to the gym, I know I'm going to feel better, and I'm possibly going to be doing more than I did last time, which is very rewarding in itself.
Yeah.
That's, I think, where like they say like the weights are addictive, and that's kind of what kind of ends up happening is you don't get addicted to the gym, you get addicted to the progress, or you get addicted to addicted is not really a good word to use, but you know what I'm saying. You know,
I just had this conversation with the trainers or whatever, because we were talking about progress, and I was telling them that it's extremely, the students that we have in a good time, that yes, weight is one thing that we want to track, but we want to track all the progress, because people are addicted to accomplishments. I always joke, because I use my wife in that. She actually just texted me the other day on her birthday. She beat Galaga the high score. She was extremely. Do I care that? I mean, yes. I mean, I'm always happy for my wife to make an accomplishment, but it's not that great thing for me. It's the same thing with like Candy Crush. She'll text me, I just won beat level 7,342. I'm like, yay! But you get a euphoria from making accomplishments and improving yourself. There is a good feeling in that, and that can be somewhat. I mean, people are addicted to accomplishments and good feelings. Anytime we get an attaboy or do something better than what we did before, you
get that warm feeling.
In softball, I want to hit a home run or make a diving play, because that's an accomplishment to me, and I feel good. Yeah, you can get that same feeling in progressing and improving in exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even mastery, what our beginning clients would say, you were saying like increasing weight, but just mastering an exercise. Like, hey, you had pretty bad form when you did that. That was something that's very difficult, and now you're structuring, you mastered that exercise. You've earned the right to now add load. Yeah. And you've earned the right to add more load after that.
Right, like squat depth, for example. You got another guy where we've been working on squat depth for a couple weeks, and the first week I told him, I said, don't worry about how deep you're going. Let's just make sure it feels okay. Yeah. And then after a few sets of that, it was like, well, now let's try and go maybe an inch deeper today. Yeah. And now, he's crushing parallel, and it's easier going to parallel than it was him doing a quarter squat or a half squat a few weeks ago.
So he progressed that, and now mastering that exercise, and now you can improve upon that. So yeah. So those are good ones. Sleep is another one. Numbers of hours of interested sleep is sometimes that it can be very beneficial to exercise as well, which I think is one of the biggest benefits. I think as personal trainers, we're always like, eat healthy, watch your calories, lift weights, do some cardiorespiratory, but sleep is sometimes the ones that is
it kind of gets negated a little bit.
And that we fell upon ourselves.
Yes, big time.
But that's if you get more hours of interrupted sleep, maybe you might not have the same amount of time, but you're actually sleeping more in that time you have. Right. That's a huge benefit as well.
Yeah. Stress, that kind of goes along with like mental clarity or mood, is so your body is going to respond to stress the same regardless of what kind of stress it is. And so if you are able to put yourself in a situation like in the gym where it's kind of a de-stressor, then that kind of carries over to daily life. Maybe it could be work stress, family stress, relationship stress. Yeah. You might notice that you're able to better handle or better respond to certain situations because you now have an outlet to get rid of some stress.
Yeah, that's honestly a really big reason why I got into it. After my mother passed when I was 14, I went spiraling down, and I found exercise, and it was truly a lifesaver. And I think why I can be so passionate about helping people. I never was like really out of shape or unhealthy. So it wasn't a lifesaver in that aspect, but it was a lifesaver literally to me mentally, and to my emotions, and gave me not only a passion for myself to try to improve and get better and something to actually focus on that's beneficial for me, but it also gave me my livelihood. It's what I do for a living, and my complete passion. It gave me purpose. So exercise can be life-changing in those aspects that have nothing to do with weight loss at all. So so those are all good things. Another thing that I always, and why we do resting heart rate, is decrease in resting heart rate.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Really look at that, but that's one of the best ways, one of the easiest and quickest ways to show improved athleticism and improved cardiorespiratory.
Right.
Your heart literally has to beat less to do the same thing. And to me, I always kind of feel like there's a certain amount of those numbers, and if I can decrease how many I'm utilizing daily, then I might be able to have a little bit more of those in the future. So your heart literally becomes more efficient at providing it.
I like that. That's a kind of a good way to. It's like you have so many beats that you can use up, and if you're doing less per day now, then that's more years on your life. That's pretty cool.
So you can track your resting heart rate before you even exercise already, but when you first start an exercise program, track that, and you can literally see that you're improving. And just by that, it shows you that you're a healthier, more athletic human being that can probably do more cardiorespiratory work as well. So
I think we kind of touched on that. I don't know if it was with me or maybe it was with Jake, but talking about how if you come into the gym and you're doing the same workout now versus months ago, you're probably burning less calories throughout the workout, but really that's a good thing because you're putting in the same amount of work or the same amount of effort, but your body doesn't have to work as hard to complete it.
You have adapted to it. So really you don't want to be efficient in your workout far as a calorie standpoint, but far as a health standpoint you want to. Your body has made the physiological adaptations, which we won't get into all those things. We're trying to help everybody out there, but there's a lot of things. Left ventricle of your heart increases in size. You have better oxygen extraction, so your body's better at getting oxygen out of there. Your muscle fibers become better at utilizing energy. There's lots of different little adaptations as far as cardiorespiratory and far as for strength, like hypertrophy and all those fun words that we can use.
The textbook stuff.
All the textbook stuff. So there's a lot. I mean, your blood work too, health screens. Your AC1 is down for diabetes, cholesterol. Those are huge. Probably some of the biggest benefits. A lot of people do come to us for health. But we always get, wanting to lose weight a little bit. And so, decrease in medication.
Right.
That's a huge one. And better on the pocketbook too.
Yeah. And especially if you're using like anti-anxiety or antidepressant medication, and then sometimes the gym can help, replace that as well. And then another one would be there really are, nutrient partitioning. So like you get better at whatever foods you do eat, your body gets better at, shuttling that to tissue that actually needs it. So your blood glucose numbers would be better, that's an indicator for diabetes. So.
Yeah. And there's lots of also, like, we're not talking about nutrition, we're talking more like the progress in that, but I think progress is just your nutritional mindset period. Like you're either was able to not eat a donut because you knew that wouldn't help your goals. And so that's a willpower, that's a progress.
Right.
Or you ate a donut, but you knew that you could fit it in your overall calories and you didn't feel guilty. That could also be progress as well. So mindset is a huge aspect in both aspects, in nutrition and in fitness. So, and then there's a lot of them.
The shift in mindset from looking at foods like, pizza, for example, it's like, that would taste really good. It would make me happy for the next 10, 15 minutes, but it could potentially affect my workout tomorrow. So if I were to eat something that's better for my body than the pizza, I start to think about that more. The deeper into fitness that you get, you start to look at food as like, this will help me get better, or this will maybe not help me get better.
Right. This would be a hindrance to getting better, depending on how I utilize it. And then if it is a hindrance, being able to say, okay, that's okay, and then moving on past that.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of good things. So, I think my biggest suggestion to everybody out there is don't focus on one variable when it comes to your fitness. Really start counting those up and adding them. And if you start looking, and that's how I was like, kind of had a blog, and it had a guy with a clipboard, and it's like, she's like, but I only lost 10 pounds. But it has like
Yeah.
All these things that we just listed on the side, but it's like, but you improved your mobility and your posture is better and you have more lean body mass and you lowered your blood pressure and every little thing, your confidence is up and you increased your, 1 rep max by 25 pounds. And there's this whole list, but sometimes people get fixated on that. And like I said, I understand it. I'm not going to say, but when you look at all your results and you can tally up all the progress versus the things that you haven't progressed as much as you perceive sometimes.
Right. The positives will outweigh,
way more.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you focus on those will help you keep more accountable, more motivated, which will help the progress that you want to. That might be lagging a little bit because things take time.
Right. Yeah, and so we're not by any means saying don't use weight to measure progress.
It's one in, as we named, like 20. It's one thing out of 20 ways to measure progress and how well you're doing.
And then don't replace weight with something else to measure progress. Like don't let your only progress measurement be your 1 rep max or how many reps you can do for push-ups. It should be,
unless that's your goal.
Yeah, unless that's your specific goal, then it should be the big picture, with all these different things that we've mentioned today kind of lining up. If you know that most of them are trending in the right direction, even if a few things are kind of stagnant or they're not, at the point you would hope that they would be, you got to look at the big picture.
Yeah.
Because it is difficult to improve all those things at one time.
Yeah.
But in the long run, with consistency, you end up improving all of it. It just takes a little bit of effort,
Yeah. And look into those and be proud of everything that you've improved on. Be proud that you're just happy you're looking in the mirror. Be proud that you're doing something positively for yourself benefit. Yeah. And I guarantee if you're exercising, you're automatically improving your health every time that you come in here.
Right.
So look at all those things. Be proud of yourself.
Yeah, that's the number one thing. And like you'd mentioned earlier, I'm dieting and I have been since November.
You look great. You look beautiful.
Thank you. I recently moved and
congrats.
Going through all the clothes of the new place, like I found a lot of stuff that I had shoved to the side, or it was in the back of my mind, like I'm not going to be wearing that for a while. And now, like they all fit, and a lot of them are actually too big to wear now. So
that's a show of progress as well.
Right. Yeah. Is all these clothes, and it's kind of exciting because now I feel like I have a whole new wardrobe.
Yeah, you can come with me and buy some Express Mediums. I got the credit card over here. The Express Mediums. We'll get you going on. Those are always pretty nice.
So I think the main thing now is going to be maintaining, which is the hardest thing to do. But I feel like that would be a good podcast topic for another day.
Yeah, maintenance is huge. Maintenance aspect, maintaining your strength, maintaining your weight. Like I said, 90% of everybody regains their weight back.
Yeah.
Some studies show within the first 3 years, and 30% of those people actually gain more. So as personal trainers, helping people and our passion being that, it's devastating to see people 3 years later and realize that we maybe not gave them all the tools.
Yeah.
Or they just, went on their own, which, that is completely fine, but I just didn't have the support. And I think that's one thing with personal trainers, which is great. And why I want you guys, if you're not using one, that's completely fine. That's why we're sharing this education, so you can focus on yourself. But our job is to point these things out during our training sessions, during our assessments. And so that's big to know, like, hey, there's a lot of results out there, but how do you feel about this? And how's this going? And those things with nutrition and maintaining is a huge result.
It is.
Which is weird to think to stay the same is really actually a huge accomplishment. But it is, especially with weight loss.
Yeah, and I mean, every time that I've gone through a diet phase and then gained the weight back, it gets harder and harder to lose it the next time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
you create more fat cells and it's just more difficult. And
Or those fat cells, they get really happy that you're feeding them for a little while.
And stay there.
They want to stay that way, yeah. So, but I mean, I guess takeaway would be don't let the scale be your only measurement for progress. Don't let anything be your only measurement for progress. It's the big picture. It's all the puzzle pieces in one. Yeah.
So tally them all up, count them, and be proud of each and single one of those, because there's lots of different progress, and there's also lots more benefits to exercise and nutrition versus just weight loss. That is one part of it. So. Cool, man. Well, thank you for jumping in. Kind of got you here on a spur of the moment, but I always appreciate you coming in here. So hopefully those things help you guys out there. If you have comments, questions, anything, I'll try to put on just a list of benefits and some different ways to check and monitor your progress out there. But keep working, keep going through it, keep being happy. It doesn't happen overnight, but you guys are succeeding if you're out there doing it. So that's all that matters.
Yeah. Cool. And then any anything you guys want to hear about in the future. If you got questions, type them up.
Bam.
Let us know.
We'll debunk myths. We'll talk about everything.
Yeah.
As well as we can.
As well as we can.
As well as we can. All right, guys. Have a wonderful. Enjoy Wichita. The weather's been beautiful. Get outside. Have some fun. Take care. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Healthy Living Wichita podcast with Go Time Training. If you enjoyed today's show and want to get started with your own fitness journey, I'd love to help kickstart your goals. How do 4 60-minute personal training sessions for $99 with me sound? Head over to www.gotimetraining.com/podcast to claim yours. I can't wait to meet you